All right, and here I am with Matthew Nash from Walk Away, which was written and directed by both Matthew Nash and Jason Egan. Welcome, Matthew. It's so wonderful to have you. This is a returning filmmaker to our festival. We love Matthew's work, and oh wow, this has been such a fun film, a great thriller film, and actually one that I was excited to talk to you about because I feel as though these are the kind of stories we're going to see following this pandemic. But you made this before any of this happened.
Yeah, it was kind of, it was kind of a fluke, right? So first of all, it's great to see you, Christina.
Hello.
It's great to be back at the Chain Film Festival, my fourth time. Super exciting. I love it. But yeah, we didn't plan to make a quarantine film. We it just kind of happened. So my partner Jason, he can't join us because since COVID, he actually has moved to the cabin that we shot at in the film. So there's no internet. The electricity is solar. It's a well. Like
So that
I
was
get to
real.
talk to him. It's all real. And yeah, he's living up there now. Hopefully with less murders. I hope.
I
Um,
hope so too. Yeah.
but no, we would go up there fairly regularly, and it's such a great location to shoot. And we kept talking about what kind of film we'd want to shoot up there. And Jay and I have this process where we kind of throw everything out and then we kind of reduce and reduce and reduce, and kind of strip away all the baggage. And we threw out zombies or apocalypse and this, that, and the other thing. But ultimately, we just kind of came to the most horrifying thing is really other people. And what if you just couldn't leave this cabin? And then once we kind of came up with that idea, it was like, well, why can't they leave? And you start constructing the rules of the cabin. But we couldn't have predicted that, that would become everybody's life, you know, for, the last 8 months. So, yeah, that was kind of weird timing.
Which there was parts I was just kind of laughing watching it because I'm like, you know what? I feel this way right now. I mean, minus the people I'm with. I'm only with Kirk here.
Yeah.
We've actually been, we enjoy ourselves and we watch lots of movies, but as many others have. But I thought it was just such a great concept and what so many can probably relate to right now. And I wanted to talk about the rules of the world because I feel like within this genre, it's so important to have rules and then stick within those rules. Sometimes you get a little off, but I
Yeah.
thought that was such a strong point in your
Oh, thank you.
film.
It's actually right here on the shelf behind me. These are all the production binders, and one of them is the Bible, like the rules. Um, and so the first rule is if you walk about 150 feet away from the cabin in any direction, you disappear and you reappear back in the cabin. And the first place you appear is in the attic, but you can't ever appear where anybody else is. So if somebody's in the attic or looking into the attic, you appear in the basement. And then if somebody's in the attic and the basement, you appear someplace else. So at one point in the film, the characters are testing how far they can go and what all the rules are. And there's a scene where they all five blip out and each one turns up in a different place.
I
Um,
thought that was so fun and such a creative way too to have these special effects, without blowing
yeah,
out your budget.
yeah. I mean, it's a pretty simple effect, but also, I thought we made it work. These are really simple editing tricks. Um, and then the other thing we had to figure out is how to feed them. So, and we were
Right.
like, we're just already in this weirdo world that doesn't make any sense. So we just came up with the idea that the first time you put food in the fridge, it sort of remembers that. And then from then on, anytime you open the fridge, it's fully stocked with exactly what you put in the first time. So if you put in hot dogs and beer, you're just stuck with hot dogs and beer forever. Uh, and we actually, there's a brewery in my neighborhood in Boston that donated all the beer to the film. So we were actually able to use some locally sourced beer, which was pretty nice.
Fantastic. We do that too with Blue Point Brewery, who's
Yeah.
also sponsoring us again this year.
Oh, well,
Um,
I guess I'll name drop my sponsor, Turtle Swamp Brewing here, which was great too to have cases of beer on set for your crew for
that's
after
how
hours. I mean, we were in
exactly.
the
That's always
middle of the
fun.
woods, so as soon as filming wrapped and we closed up for the day, the above the line team was actually living in that cabin. We actually slept there, um, and then we had some of my students, and then we had the actors and a professional crew, and we had rented like a 10-bedroom ski lodge in the town nearby, so they would get
Very
into
cool.
the passenger vans and go back. So, but there was always hangout time, and there's nothing to do at that cabin, so we would just sit around that fire pit for hours and just tell stories and, entertain each other. And it was great. It was like camping plus making us a micro budget feature film.
Oh, that's so fantastic. So, Matthew, some people may not know, but you are actually a teacher. You teach film. You have a lot of students that you work with. And so I wanted to ask you if you were to give some advice to other emerging filmmakers. It's so important for a genre like this, any film really, but I feel like with a thriller horror, you really want to keep up that momentum, that energy. Actors, are going from one shot to another and may just have to jump into a spot emotionally. So, which is a challenge with all the technicality that comes with filmmaking. So I was wondering what advice you would give to other filmmakers to keep that energy up, to keep the stakes high so that it's coming through on screen and keeping the audience engaged.
Sure. I think that's a great question. And I know that you and Kirk are both actors, and focused on that. I mean, we were lucky to have an amazing cast who could really keep it going. The I guess I'll sort of answer from the directing side. So I was co-directing with my partner Jason, and he was 100% dedicated to the performers. So while I was working with the production team getting the shots set up, so they would just sit and run lines and run emotional cues and like build up to the state of the scene. And they would have, anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour sometimes to really sit, off, out of the way and work through a scene and make sure that we were really, really going. But the truth of the matter is we were such a micro budget film shooting so fast that there was often so little space between scenes. And so a lot of that just came down to scheduling, trying to schedule scenes that were sort of at the same emotional key together. So that when the actors were up, they were up, and when it was more low key, they were low key. But we were just jamming out so many scenes per day that I think our lead actress Alyssa and our second lead Faith had to do some real emotional pivots a couple times. And we even on our tiny budget, we did have to reshoot a few scenes, and that grand finale scene, not to spoil it, but when they run off into the woods, the two lead actresses run off into the woods. We reshot that. We had to do that again, and the actresses definitely talked about the difficulty of kind of getting back into that psychological space and getting back into that sort of intense emotion. So yeah, I think it's you just work with your actors, you direct them well, and you try to not put a low scene and a high scene back to back in your schedule unless you can help it.
Right.
But we were lucky to have a great cast, really talented people.
Yeah, I definitely want to do a shout out to the cast and Alyssa Talbot, who was really our hero in this story.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I enjoyed that as well. And
Shout out to her. She has a small speaking part in the new film Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds.
oh, cool.
So
Nice
she'll be
job,
on the big screen
Alyssa.
soon. Yeah, we were lucky too. We shot this film in 3 sections. It actually took 6 months to shoot. And we wanted to get the change of seasons, right? They've been trapped there for a long time. So we shot the first third of the film in May, when they sort of arrived. So that whole first third of the film has one emotional flavor for the actors to work with. And then we actually shot the end of the film in July with just the 2 female leads. And then we shot the middle section in October, with the full cast again. So we were able to really strategize the performances and really focus on kind of shooting like the different acts of the film sort of as cohesive wholes. I mean, we didn't shoot chronologically or anything, but we were kind of able to get into those emotional states and stay there, which was fun. It was a great way of working.
Well, I think that absolutely all came through on camera. And again, just wonderful cast, the crew. You could just feel how much fun this was, and fantastic concept. This is Walk Away by Matthew Nash and Jason Egan.
Thank
Matthew,
you.
thank you so much.
Oh, it's great to be back. Thank you, Christina.